Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Anderson, and it is Sunday, October 25th, and we are here with the next story in our 120 Bible Stories book. Let's find out what's going on today. So we're back with our dear buddy Abram, who has a vision from the Lord where God promises that he is going to bless Abram, that he is going to make his reward very, very great. But Abram is confused because he doesn't have any children, and he's not sure how God is going to keep this promise about many descendants and being great and all of the things like that. But God promises him, I want you to go outside and I want you to look up at the stars and count them if you're able to count them. That's how many offspring you're going to have. And Abram believes the Lord, and it's counted to him as righteousness. Righteousness is one of those church words that we use a lot, and we want to make sure we know what it means. Righteousness is the idea that Abram is good with God. That when God looks at Abram, he sees one of his own children. And he sees that because Abram believes in the Lord. To be righteous is to be in a right relationship with your heavenly Father. And Abram believes God, and so it is counted to him as righteousness. You see in this picture here that Abram's an old guy. He's 99 years old when the Lord appears to him. And God says, I want you to walk before me and be blameless. My covenant is going to be made with you. I'm going to make you these promises. No longer shall your name be called Abram. Instead, you're going to go by Abraham, which means the father of many nations. And that's God's promise that kings are going to come from Abraham. That God is going to make his covenant between him and Abraham and all of Abraham's offspring after him. That God is going to give to Abraham and to his offspring the land where Abraham is living, the land of Canaan. This is going to be great. And Abraham's wife, who went by Sarai, is now going to be called Sarah. And she is going to be blessed, and she's going to have a son. And though that son is going to have sons, and those sons are going to have sons, until eventually from Abraham there's going to be all sorts of people. A giant nation is going to come from Abraham. How do you think he reacts to this news? He's 99 years old, remember. His wife is 90. How do you think they react? Well, he falls down on his face and he laughs because he thinks that God's idea is so silly. And he asks God, shall a child be born to a man who's 100 years old, and shall Sarah, who is 90, give birth to a child? And God promises again, yes, indeed. Sarah, your wife, is going to give birth to a son, and now you're going to call his name Isaac, which means he laughs. Isaac's name was to be a continual reminder that Abraham laughed at this promise of God, but God's going to make it come true. And so he's going to call his name Isaac. And with Isaac, God is going to continue this everlasting covenant, all of these promises that he made to Abraham. And when God had finished talking with him, he left. And he left Abraham to think about all of the things that God had just said. So that's the story of God making his covenant with Abram and promising him this son whose name is going to be Isaac. We'll see more about that next week in our Sunday school devotion. But for now, I want you all to talk about two questions. The first one is this. Why does God give Abram and Sarai new names in this story? And when did you receive a new name from God? Teachers, go ahead and pause the video and talk about that with your classes. And once you're done talking about that first question, I want you to answer this one. God promised Abraham that all of the nations of the world would be blessed through him and his family. God keeps that promise when he sends his son Jesus. How are all people on earth blessed through Jesus? Talk about that one with your classes as well. When you're done talking about that, you all can carry on with the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here again next week, Sunday, for another story from our 120 Bible stories. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.